down here waiting for Nia. And she's like, oh, it's going to be a few minutes. My dad is, her dad is her dad. So I'm like, I'll just I'm in Schizo Garage. Let's get it. Welcome to Schizo Garage. Da, 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 da. It's Schizo Garage. Da, 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 da. As soon as I turn the camera on, people come. It's how it is here, though. So, yeah, more to my theory that blacks seem to have been activated every day. I see more of this stuff. This woman, a Ukrainian refugee, actually, was on a bus. I forget what state it was, but Lily Gaddis, a white freedom fighter, was talking about this story today where this woman just got on the bus and this black dude sat behind her for a while and then pulled out a knife and stabbed her in the neck and killed her. She bled out on the scene. He takes his shirt off for some reason. They don't like clothes. I don't know what it is. I think it's a jungle thing. But yeah, this is, I grew up around black people. Not really, actually. I didn't. It was only until I didn't really see many black people until like the 90s. We went over this the other day. How growing up in most American towns, suburban towns, maybe there's one or two black people. I had one in my school. We just didn't have a lot of them. And then around the turn of the century is when the cities and suburbs started filling up. I mean, there's always black people around, but they were in the inner city. There were more down south, whatever the case. But at any rate, even when there were more black people around, I don't remember them killing whites every single day. And that's because they were not activated. The activation, in my opinion, started in 2008 with Barack Obama. And I mentioned the Obama spell quite a bit. And I've talked about the Obama spell many times. I'm sorry to the people that have to hear it again. But yeah, in 2008, when Obama came in, mostly white people voted for him. Now, I'm going to just put aside the fact that the whole voting thing is bullshit. It's not real. Obama was actually groomed to be president. There's a lot of pictures of him floating around the internet being groomed in this way, walking out with tech billionaires as a young man. When Michelle was Michael, before he had the whole changeover. Although it's not very convincing to some of us, they positioned her as a female, So, yeah, he was groomed for that spot. And he never really mentioned race at all, really, in the run-up to him, not in a contentious way, to him getting the presidency. Once he was in, it wasn't very long before after he came in, and I'm going to spare Dave by not doing the impression. He started talking about how white people in America weren't very happy that a black man was president. And he mentioned this multiple times at different stops on his victory laps. And it was just always weird to people because it's like, well, who do you think fucking voted for you? Now again, voting, it's not real, blah, blah, blah. But we're just pretending in kayfabe that votes are real, and voting in the presidential system is completely above board. But in a world where it was, there's just had to have been white people that, voted for him. That's how he got in. So it was really weird to everyone. And it was around him coming in, you started seeing these racial lines being drawn up, and the word racism rearing its head again. Now, racism hadn't been a problem as a front page news story, or even a fifth page news story since the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement got rid of a lot of stuff that had kept whites and blacks segregated. Of course, it started before then when we made our kids at gunpoint go to school with blacks. It's a whole other story, but they were forced to go to school with them at gunpoint by the 82nd Airborne, or soldiers who were supposedly the 82nd Airborne, but I look at some of those spaces and I don't know. I'm not going to get a ruler out and start measuring appendages, but so anyway, at the civil rights movement, equality, everybody's equal. There was no problem. Like growing up in the 80s, there was never anything about racism. No one made a big deal about it. Just, oh, that guy's black. Even the gays. I mean, people knew people were gay and didn't really care. I mean, it wasn't a huge deal because they didn't need it to be at that point. Our masters didn't need it to be a point of contention, so it simply wasn't. No one cared. And even up through at the beginning of the century, you never heard about racism and, stuff like that. I mean, in the inner city, problem with policing in the inner city, although we've learned that turned out to be a complete lie since we've seen the body cams. Now we know what's really going on. It used to be like, oh, they're beating on us and all this other stuff, and then when they force them to carry on the body cams, now we've seen what's really happening, where they asked them to not to jaywalk, and they escalated into a murder. So that was bullshit anyway. Of course, you had pockets like down south. I guess I don't know. Racism existed, but it was very, very underground, and it wasn't part of mainstream society at all. I mean, it wasn't a thing at all. And when they had, like, I've used this example many times, when you had like a black actor in a movie or a TV show, it wasn't like this big deal where like, we've caught a black man on film and white people better not come to the theater. This is for us. There was nothing like that was going on. So the beginning of this whole thing was the Obama thing. And I remember right after I started seeing weird stuff, like these school kids in these black areas who were, the teacher had them lined up like they were in like an army or something, and they were doing this military kind of chant. This is all staged, of course, pledging allegiance to Obama. And they're like, these kids are pledging allegiance to Obama over the country. And I'm like, whatever, this is fucking bullshit. It's done just to make people, upset or to be a talking point for something. But, yeah, when he started talking about how people aren't happy that a black man's president, all the white people were like, what the fuck are you talking about? All the black people, though, and they are a little trickable. You can kind of convince them of a lot of different stuff. They were like, what the fuck, really? And that's, when they started getting their heckles up and started to think about racism again. Now that is, of course, the Obama spell. That was part of his spellcraft. All presidents have their spell. Trump cast his spell. That's why you have these people with TDS and how these people act really crazy about Trump. Trump's spell was based on the father, what do you call it? There's a name for it. Not the Greek one. But anyway, what it did is it made people see a father figure in him, and it made women reminded of maybe a handsy uncle or stepfather, and it made men look at him as the dad that ran out on them and made their mom raise them alone. It was a spell that made people project stuff like that onto him, and then they would project those things from him onto his followers, and that's why they act absolutely demonic when they see people that they think are followers of Trump. It's all, it's all spellcraft. Now, the presidents don't work up the spells, in my opinion. I've talked about before. This is a lot of fucking ceremony, ritual, a lot of chanting, a lot of sacrifice, lots of stuff going on to create the spell. The presidents are just the spell casters. They're the talkers. They're the ones that put the spell out there into reality. It's low-level mind control. It's, magically, all mind control is low level. It's considered lesser magic. Anything with, controlling the mind, hypnotism, stuff like that. But they're doing it on an entire population. The MK Ultraing of population using methods and techniques that they learned in that program, mixed with black magic, to create a giant blanket that they put over the population of mind control. It's like hypnotism. It's a suggestion, and it's put forth by these presidents who, when they have these talks, especially, they always cast a spell in the early days of their presidency, because, is that Nia? No. Because it's when the most people are watching. They need the most eyes on them when they do this black magic bullshit, so it catches, the most amount of people. So that was his thing, and since then, it's just slowly gotten worse and worse and worse. They've always kind of been used by our small-hatted friends as dog soldiers. They use them to, it's the old hammer thing. You give a white man a hammer, you build civilization. You give an Asian man a hammer, he builds hammers. You give a black man a hammer, he attacks the white man. You give a Jew a hammer, he gives the hammer to the black man. Yeah, they've always been used as a proxy for the Jews to attack the white man. I don't even know if, there's a lot other stuff going on there that's very tied to spirituality and the fight between God and Satan. Why all the attention toward white people? Why are they the most hated, the most, by the, powers that be? They want to wipe them out. They want to destroy them. White people are their natural enemy of the guy in charge here. This is Satan's realm. It's his land. He unfortunately is the lord of this world. And his natural enemy are white people. Now, what are white people? Well, it's a good question. I know, I just don't know how to explain it without taking this to real crazy town. We're going to table that for another day. In fact, I'll do a video called "What Are White People?" And we'll get into that. But at any rate, they're the target of the small hats, and the small hats use their soldiers to do this. We never had stuff like this happening before. Like, even when you start to see more blacks in regular life in the U.S. at least. In Europe, it still was kind of rare. I remember my friend Paul, who's from Ireland. I was living with some Irish guys that were over here on work visas to try to get jobs and try to get citizenship. So they came over here and we're working. I don't think any of them got citizenship, by the way, to any of those guys. They came over here with jobs to work from Ireland, and just by the virtue of the fact that they had jobs, the government says, oh, well, we can't use these guys. They're not going to do what we tell them. They need people that have nothing, because then they'll, attack women on the bus for them. And I remember he was like, he couldn't believe how many black people we had here in the city. He was like, what the fuck? He was stunned. He kept starting fights with them and stuff. Because where he's from, he just didn't see any. He's from Ireland, up north. This is what, late 90s? Yeah, so it was like kind of rare in a lot of parts of the world to see them, I mean, they used to not be here in Honolulu until COVID. It's talk that fucking story to death. But yeah, they kicked out all the Pacific Islanders and replaced them with black people from Haiti, Somalia. I've gone over it here. And the giant jump in crime we've had to endure, 80% homicide jump, fucking crazy. But anyway, even when they became more a part of life, they weren't sparking out and killing white people every day like they are now. And unfortunately, the weaker people, the ones most at risk, are kids and older folks. So those are the ones that are getting hurt the most. Women, kids, older people. Now, you have to say, well, why? Why now? Why are they all of a sudden become these murderous fucking people when they weren't before? I mean, they might have always been, but it wasn't as blatant where every day that you could look at if you have a news feed on X and you read one of these stories, they start filling up your feed with it. I know, because all my social media is just kind of ruined. Like, I'd have to start a whole new account under a different email to escape the black crime stories. It's just all day, them hurting, killing, attacking, and you have to ask, like, why? I mean, I don't ask why because I know, but I mean, I think regular people are starting to see, like, what the fuck is going on? And as Lily was saying, something has to be done, But what? What do you do? Hang on a second. Out of Schizo Garage. How you doing? Seeing how the neighbors. Yeah, there's so many videos like this now of these black attack crime videos, and it's too bad that Spurg got all the heat, because I mean, there's so many now. It'd be like, how do you why would you pick him out of everybody? I think he did it too early. He was on it too early, I guess. Now there's so many, It's crazy. But they all kind of say the same thing. They show all the films and little clips and all the violence and stuff. And they all kind of end with the same thing. Like, what do we do? What is, like, I asked that question myself. Like, what is the final solution? It's tough because the government's not going to do anything to help you. I mean, they're not, it's them that's causing the problem, right? And they're behind this whole thing. They want this. They want you to have the problems that you have from these people. That's what they do. That's their fucking thing. So it's not going to be a government stepping in and doing anything about it. It's going to be left to the people, and how does that manifest itself? What does that look like? Do we go back to the early days of the country, how we used to handle this kind of thing? Well, not early days of the country, but the early post, after the slaves were freed kind of thing. Which, that whole slavery thing, in my opinion, it's all bullshit, but that's a whole nother video, another story. The whole North Atlantic slave trade thing, it's all a fairy tale, all of it. It doesn't make any sense on its face at all. Like, southern farmers wanted to save money, so they chartered ships, went all the way around the world, and picked up people who are dangerous, who would kill them in a second, and they somehow controlled them, got them over here, paid for their food, shelter, and security so they don't kill them, try to teach them a language so they understand what's happening, and then teach them how to farm whatever crops they're supposed to be farming, all that stuff, and that's a savings, so that they can save money. Like, how is that a savings? Why not just hire another guy from up the street, like get another guy to work at the farm, Wouldn't that be cheaper? It's all silly. It's just they needed an excuse as to why these people were here. And when you ask, why are these dangerous people in my city? Then they can say, well, it's your fault, William. You brought them here. It's like, all right, whatever. Hang on a second. Much like the Holocaust, the African North Atlantic slave trade is a foundational myth of this country. It's one of the things that the country has been built on. And I assume you get the same reaction from black people that you get from Jewish people when you talk about the possibility that the Holocaust never happened, or that there's some kind of shenanigans there. They got really upset. Now, it's a weird thing, because if there was evidence that it never happened. Wouldn't that be good? I mean, you know, wouldn't be if the horrors weren't real. It's the same thing. I mean, if you were to tell black people that the North Atlantic slave trade, you know, didn't happen, they'd get upset in the same way, you know, because they need that grift. You know, the Jews and the blacks both need their separate grift. But yeah, what it ends up at the same point. Like, what do you do? You know, and they're saying like in the early days when it's referred to as, oh, the dark, terrible things that used to go on in this country with, you know, hangings and posses and, excuse me, what the hell? Be a troll here. Hang on a second. So yeah, I mean, it comes down to the same thing. Like, what do you do? You know, and like I was saying, unless that part was cut out. Did I cut that part out? I don't know. I cut some of these up, so I never know what segments I use them or something. I don't. But I think I was just mentioning how they would be upset, like, to hear that there's some question over whether or not the North Atlantic slave trade even happened. In the same way that Jewish people get upset when you question where the Holocaust happened. It's just something that can't be really talked about without causing a fucking huge thing. But in my opinion, it didn't happen. You know, I mean, there's no way. When you look at the evidence of it, all the particulars. One thing that helped break the spell for me was this diagram where it showed the boats that they were bringing people over it, and it was showing how they filled them up with people, and they had the floor plan of the boat, the bottom floor, and where all the body, how they lined up each guy, like one after another, like cordwood. There's no way that would have been possible. There's just no way. It just looks so stupid. I looked at that diagram and I was like, that's bullshit. You know, it doesn't, can you imagine that, trying to get all those guys together like that? I mean, you know, these are guys right out of the bush. They're pretty savage, actual savages, you know, cannibals, of course. And yeah, to try to get them all together to quietly sit or to lay, or however they had them in there. It's fucking stupid. It doesn't, you look at it and you're like, no, that's dumb, that's impossible. But this whole world, a lot of what they do here is to get you to not believe your lying eyes. You know, everything since the time you're born is to tell you what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing isn't the truth. You know, you may feel like you're walking on a flat ground, but you're actually on a ball hurling through space, that moving so fast that you can't feel it. Like, where else is that applicable in any kind of situation where something is so intense, it's so extreme that you don't feel any of it? It just seems like there's no movement at all. So your whole life, they're trying to tell you what you're seeing and what you're experiencing with your own senses and eyes isn't true. And in fact, it's contrary, you know, to what you're seeing and what you're experiencing and feeling. The truth is contrary. It's completely different. That's the whole game of this place. So of course, when it comes to everything, when you see stuff, you know, there's always a big chorus of people trying to tell you that that's not how it is. You know, that's in fact the opposite. You just don't know any better because you're not a science man who has a white dress and paperwork on his wall, framed Ukraine paperwork on his wall that he still owes money on. And he has to stay in the gang and do what the gang says, because if he doesn't, he loses that piece of paper on the wall that he still owes money on, and then he's really screwed. I'm trying to patiently wait for this light, but I have a feeling it's never gonna fucking change, so I gotta roll with this. What is the solution? Do you return to what is referred to as, the dark days of history when, see, but now I can't talk because I'm surrounded by people. It's a never-ending nightmare. Everything's a nightmare. Come on, dude. Really, with this fucking light. Mother fucking cunt, fuck, shit, fuck, cunt. Oh my god. Excuse me. But, I was there for 5 minutes. This is the most retarded place on earth. It's like, imagine a state run by little kids, and then you get Hawaii. But it's not little kid brains are in these people that run through here. And there's a big thing, they don't like whitey. So they don't let white people get in too often into positions of power. If they do, it's not really a white person, it's a Jewish person, like Josh Green. But anyway, aside from the state run by children, what do? Do you return to those old days when that people now look at as like the dark days of history, when they used to hang people and get posses together, the vigilante justice days? I'll tell you, the reason that used to happen isn't because white people were just so evil they had to go around and find black people to hang. No, that was done out of desperation. It was done because they couldn't follow the rules of society like now, and they were raping and killing and stealing and murdering, and they became desperate as to what to do. So the hanging thing was like, all right, we hang them up there, then the others can see, and maybe they put two and two together in their head, like, oh, that could be me. Maybe I shouldn't, rape this white woman. That's what happened. It was a move out of desperation. My people, our default isn't to start hanging people. This is not the way it is. We're the most tolerant people on earth, which is probably why we ended up in the situation we're currently in. It's exactly why. So yeah, those dark days in history were done out of desperation. And are we headed toward that once again? I would say yes. But the problem is, if you try to do that now, it's a trap. They're waiting for you to do that. I almost feel like they're turning up the heat and making the daily murder bump go up and up and up, and then make it more egregious. Like what we saw, with this woman just sitting on a bus. And I always say they kill for no reason. And they really do. I mean, you can't be near them, man. You can't sit in front of them. You can't get in the elevator with them. You just can't. Because you're taking a chance that, well, maybe this is a good one. It's the fucking pit bull thing. It's like, yeah, you see some pit bulls running up the street. They could be the good ones that don't eat babies and take arms off people, but why would you want to fucking take that chance? You gotta bat flag it. If there's a 1% chance, you gotta take it as an absolute certainty. I thought that was great when that movie came out. I was like, what? Everybody clowned on that? I'm like, no, that's fucking good. That's a sound fucking idea. I thought it was fine, but yeah, you kind of have to. What are you gonna do? Like, oh, I want people to think I'm cool, so I don't want them to think I'm racist or whatever. So I'm gonna just stroll up here to the ATM with these young men and let them know that I'm an ally. See, I'm not afraid to use the ATM with you guys here. I'm one of you. Wake up hearing Christmas music, That's what it is, man. I mean, if you're gonna be that stupid. But again, it seems like they're waiting for vigilantes to come into it so then they can turn the whole system on you. Like, now we really have to come in and crack down on these white terrorists because their whole deal, oh God, I don't know what this guy's doing, neither does he though. That's the problem with schizophrenia. Yeah, they're the enemy of this entire world are the sons and daughters of Adam and Eve. White people were the number one enemy, so any way they can get us, they will, even by putting this bait out of having your people being killed every day, and then when you snap back against it, then they can let slip the dog's global homo, and you know, I don't know. I gotta think about this more. Thanks for dropping in though. I'm gonna go think about it. Till next time, don't blame the teacher, blame the school.